Jesus is speaking to massive crowds about human destiny, yet his words are layered behind metaphors. He describes the divine through the mundane: seeds, yeast, and fields. This approach was a deliberate act to fulfill ancient prophecy. By wrapping his message in these stories, he ensured that while the crowds heard the words, the deeper meanings remained accessible only to those willing to seek them out. Matthew chapter 13, verses 34 and 35, explain that Jesus spoke to the multitude exclusively in parables. This fulfilled the prophetic word: "I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world." The kingdom of heaven is presented as a hidden reality. Accessing it requires an active search for the truth beneath the surface of the story. The first demand involves perceiving how divine influence operates. The kingdom begins in a state that is almost entirely imperceptible. In Matthew chapter 13, verses 31 and 32, the kingdom of heaven is compared to a single grain of mustard seed. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, it grows into a tree large enough for birds to lodge in its branches. Verse 33 provides a parallel in the kitchen. The kingdom is like leaven, hidden by a woman in 3 measures of meal. The tiny amount of yeast works through the dough until the entire batch has risen. This expansion illustrates the logic of both parables. An insignificant initial input expands until it transforms the environment it inhabits. The kingdom possesses a power found in its silent, unstoppable internal development. Once this growing kingdom is perceived, its value must be weighed. The text describes a specific requirement for those who wish to obtain it: total personal cost. Matthew chapter 13, verse 44, likens the kingdom to treasure hidden in a field. When a man discovers it, he hides it again, and in his joy he goes and sells everything he has to buy that field. Verses 45 and 46 tell of a merchant searching for fine pearls. Upon finding one pearl of great price, he liquidates all his assets to secure it. Both stories emphasize a specific economic reality. Acquiring this asset requires the liquidation of every worldly possession. Securing a place in the kingdom of heaven is an all-or-nothing transaction. We now reach the final outcome of these teachings. Jesus leaves the multitude and enters a house, where his disciples ask him to explain the parable of the tares in the field. Matthew chapter 13, verse 36 marks this shift from public storytelling to private explanation. He maps the metaphors. The sower is the Son of Man. The field is the world. Good seed are the kingdom's children. Tares are the wicked. At the end, angels cast the wicked into fire with gnashing of teeth, while the righteous shine. The current coexistence of good and evil is a temporary phase. This conclusion is reinforced by the imagery of a fishing net. Matthew chapter 13, verses 47 and 48 describe a net that gathers every kind of fish. Once full, it is drawn to shore, where the good are gathered into vessels and the bad are cast away. At the end of the world, the angels will come forth to sever the wicked from among the just, casting them into the fire. This sorting results in an absolute binary division of humanity. After this explanation, Jesus asks his disciples if they have understood these things. They confirm that they have. In verses 51 and 52, Jesus describes the person instructed in the kingdom as a householder who brings both new and old treasures out of his storehouse. Verse 53 marks the end of these parables and Jesus' departure from the area. Comprehending these stories transforms the listener into an active guardian of these truths.